I'm going to go over some definitions and some of the statistical analyses that they did in the paper for those interested to try to make it a little bit more clear. So one of the things that they did is called a three-way analysis of variance. It's called ANOVA. It's an acronym, ANOVA. This means there were three factors involved in the analysis. First one being trauma, non-trauma. Second being seated versus laying down, which is upright and recumbent. And the last one was male, female, with the variable being measured as ectopia, or descending of the tonsils below the foramen magnum. So they were looking at that in all of these different situations. They also did what's called a Tukey pairwise comparison. Now that's carried out only if there is a significant finding between initial variables analyzed. Meaning if they found that there was no difference in tonsillar level comparing all three variables, there'd be no reason to look further. But they saw a difference, so they did a Tukey pairwise comparison. Tukey test is used when to compare three or more variables to determine whether the interactions are statistically significant. So the ANOVA, or the analysis of variance, tells you whether there is a significance in the variables, but it won't tell you which were significant. Meaning there was an interaction between some of the variables, yes. Which variables were significant will tell you which ones interacting are significant. And that's what the Tukey pairwise comparison does. Which of the variables were significant when compared to each other. There's also what's called a chi-square goodness of fit test. This is a formula in statistics that compares different groups of variables to see how much of a relationship they have. A very low number indicates a strong association. A high number indicates a weak association. And the chi-square variable in the study was around 0.0001. It was very, very slow. So the lower number indicated a higher, stronger association. The p-value, the significance level represented by the Greek letter alpha, is 0.05. P-value on the study represents whether the variable being analyzed is significant or not. If p is less than or equal to 0.05, there is significance. If it's greater than 0.05, it is not. The Kappa range for agreement between the two radiologists was between 0.85 and 0.95. The Kappa range in statistics is one of the most commonly used inter-examiner or inter-rater reliability. 0.81 to 1 is considered almost perfect agreement. A 0 to -1 is considered no agreement at all. And this study had 0.85 to 0.95, which is high agreement. A 95% confidence interval. This is an interval or range that contains the average measurement 95% of the time. The common misconception of the 95% confidence interval is that 95% of the measurements fall within this given range, but this is false. What this means is that there's a 95% chance that a random sample of data, meaning if we took the group of 300 and we took 10 of those data points and we created an average range there, then 95% of the time, the average of the samples, of all the samples, will fall within that range. The more narrow the confidence interval, the more confident we can be with our average. The wider the interval, the less accurate. So if you only take 2 samples from a 300 sample population, then the interval is going to be very wide and it's not going to be very, very accurate. But if you take, the more samples you take, the more closer to the average you're going to be. So instead of the standard deviation, which tells you the average of the values outside of the average, so it's like a range, it gives you a range. Your measurements values are 95% likely to fall into. 95% as opposed to 90 or 99. So 95% confidence interval is the value agreed upon by researchers that gives the most useful information. This 95% confidence interval, or just confidence intervals in general, is quite a confusing statistic and an analysis. If anyone wants more further explanation, leave that in the comments below, and we'll try to go through that a little bit more for more understanding. Hi there, I'm Dr. Kevin Leach here with the Chiropractic Deep Dive Podcast, bringing you the most important research and information on conservative primary spine care, upper cervical chiropractic care, and traditional chiropractic care. I'm really trying to bring value with these, so I'd appreciate commenting on the videos, hitting the like button, and sharing them with as many people as you can. You never know who might need to see it. And consider subscribing to the channel so you can see all the other episodes and videos coming out. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate your support.